Welcome to the Knowledge Junction channel. Today, we will be discussing World War II, the largest and deadliest conflict in human history, which shaped the world as we know it today. World War II was a global war that lasted from 1939 to 1945, involving the majority of the world's nations, including all the great powers, organized into two opposing military alliances, the Allies and the Axis. The war was triggered by the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, and quickly escalated as Germany and its allies conquered much of Europe and launched an attack on the Soviet Union. The war was fought on multiple fronts, including Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, and resulted in the deaths of an estimated 70 to 85 million people, making it the deadliest conflict in human history. The war also saw the use of new technologies such as tanks, submarines, and aircraft, and resulted in the development of nuclear weapons. The outcome of World War II had far-reaching consequences, including the formation of the United Nations, the division of Germany, and the beginning of the Cold War. The Treaty of Versailles, which was signed in 1919, imposed harsh reparations on Germany and limited its military power. The treaty was designed to ensure that Germany could not wage war again, but it left many Germans feeling humiliated and resentful. This resentment fueled the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany, which promised to restore Germany's power and prestige. In addition to the Treaty of Versailles, the rise of fascism and aggressive nationalism in Europe contributed to the outbreak of World War II. Fascist regimes in Italy and Spain sought to expand their territories and establish dominance over other countries. In Germany, the Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, sought to create a Greater Germany that would include all German-speaking people and expand eastward into Poland and the Soviet Union. The failure of appeasement policies by Britain and France also contributed to the outbreak of the war. These policies were designed to avoid war by making concessions to Germany, but they only emboldened Hitler and allowed him to continue his aggressive expansionist policies. The failure of the Munich Agreement, which allowed Germany to annex Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland, was a clear example of the failure of appeasement policies. Other factors that contributed to the outbreak of World War II include the Great Depression, which created economic instability and political unrest in many countries, and the failure of the League of Nations to maintain international peace and security. The League of Nations was established after World War I to prevent future wars, but it was unable to prevent the aggression of Germany, Italy, and Japan in the 1930s. Overall, the causes of World War II were complex and multifaceted, with a combination of economic, political, and ideological factors contributing to the outbreak of the war. The failure of international organizations to prevent aggression and the willingness of some countries to make concessions to aggressive powers also played a role in the start of the conflict. World War II was a monumental event that witnessed a series of major battles and events across multiple theaters of operation. These theaters included Europe, Africa, and Asia Pacific, and each of them played a significant role in shaping the outcome of the war. The war was marked by the use of new technologies and tactics that had never been seen before, and these innovations had a profound impact on the conduct of the war. One of the most significant events of World War II was the Battle of Stalingrad, which took place between August 1942 and February 1943. The battle saw the German army, led by General Friedrich Paulus, launch an assault on the Soviet city of Stalingrad, now known as Volgograd. The city was a vital industrial center for the Soviet Union and held immense strategic importance. The Germans were initially successful in their attack and managed to capture large parts of the city. However, the Soviet Union launched a counterattack, which was supported by reinforcements and supplies sent from across the Volga River. This eventually led to the encirclement of the German army and a brutal winter campaign that saw both sides suffer immense losses. The battle ended in a decisive victory for the Soviet Union, with the German army suffering heavy casualties and losing a significant portion of their military hardware. The victory was a turning point in the war, as it marked the first major defeat for the Germans and gave the Soviet Union a much-needed boost in morale. Another significant event of World War II was the D-Day invasion of Normandy, which took place on June 6, 1944. The invasion was a massive Allied operation that saw troops from the United States, Great Britain, and Canada land on the beaches of Normandy in northern France. The operation was a critical turning point in the war, as it allowed the Allies to establish a foothold on the continent and launch a successful campaign to liberate Europe from Nazi occupation. The D-Day invasion was a massive logistical feat that required extensive planning and preparation. It involved the use of specialized landing craft, amphibious vehicles, and airborne troops to establish a beachhead and secure a foothold on the continent. The operation was initially met with heavy resistance from the German army, but the Allies managed to overcome these obstacles and establish a beachhead that would eventually lead to the liberation of Paris and the defeat of Nazi Germany. Finally, the Holocaust is another key event that defined World War II. The Holocaust was the systematic persecution and murder of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime. The Nazis used a variety of methods to carry out the Holocaust, including mass shootings, gas chambers, and forced labor. The Holocaust was a tragic and horrific event that had a profound impact on the world, and it is considered one of the darkest chapters in human history. In conclusion, World War II was a monumental event that saw major battles and events across multiple theaters of operation. These events included the Battle of Stalingrad, the D-Day invasion of Normandy, and the Holocaust. These events, along with the use of new technologies and tactics, shaped the outcome of the war and had a profound impact on the world as we know it today. The consequences of World War II were felt across the globe and were far-reaching. The human cost of the war was staggering, with an estimated 70 to 85 million people losing their lives, making it the deadliest conflict in human history. The impact on civilians was particularly devastating, with many subjected to bombing raids, occupation, and forced displacement. In addition to the loss of life, the war caused significant economic damage, particularly in Europe, where cities and infrastructure were destroyed. The war also resulted in major geopolitical shifts, with several empires collapsing and new superpowers emerging. Germany, Japan, and Italy were left in ruins and occupied by Allied forces, while the United States and Soviet Union emerged as the dominant global powers. The war also led to the formation of the United Nations, which aimed to promote international cooperation and prevent future wars. The consequences of the war were particularly significant in Europe, where the continent was left divided and in need of rebuilding. The Marshall Plan, which provided economic aid to European countries, was instrumental in helping to rebuild the continent and promoting economic recovery. The war also had a profound impact on the arts, literature, and culture, with many artists and writers exploring the themes of trauma, loss, and the impact of war on individuals and societies. The aftermath of the war also saw the establishment of the Cold War, a period of tension and rivalry between the United States and Soviet Union that lasted until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. The arms race, space race, and proxy wars that characterized the Cold War had a significant impact on global politics and shaped the world as we know it today. The consequences of World War II were far-reaching and shaped the world in ways that are still felt today. The loss of life, destruction of infrastructure, and geopolitical shifts were significant, but the war also led to important developments such as the establishment of the United Nations and the promotion of international cooperation. The legacy of the war continues to be explored by historians, writers, and artists, and serves as a reminder of the importance of promoting peace and preventing future conflicts. The war impacted nearly every aspect of human society, including politics, economics, culture, and technology. The war's causes were rooted in the aftermath of World War I, which left Europe in a state of political and economic instability. The rise of fascist regimes in Germany, Italy, and Japan further destabilized the international order, leading to the outbreak of war in 1939. The battles of World War II saw the use of new technologies, including aircraft, tanks, submarines, and atomic bombs. These innovations resulted in unprecedented levels of destruction, and the war's battles were some of the deadliest in history. The war also saw the perpetration of some of the worst atrocities in human history, including the Holocaust, in which millions of Jews and other minorities were systematically murdered by the Nazis. The consequences of World War II were far-reaching and complex. The war led to the deaths of millions of people, including civilians and military personnel, and the destruction of entire cities and nations. The war also resulted in the establishment of new nations, the redrawing of national borders, and the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers. The post-war period was marked by significant social, political, and economic changes, including the growth of the welfare state, the establishment of the United Nations, and the onset of the Cold War. In conclusion, World War II was a devastating conflict that had a profound impact on the world. The war's causes, battles, and consequences continue to shape our world today. By studying this important event in history, we can gain insight into the complexities of international relations and learn from the mistakes of the past. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content on important events in world history.